Hey neighbor, today we're going to talk about those unusual things that you can grow in your garden. Probably one or two of these you've never heard before. Welcome to the Row by Row Gardening Show, the best dadgum gardening show on the internet, where we talk about gardening, a little bit of cooking, and growing your own food. Now sit back and enjoy. Well, we've been getting some rain. I mean, this morning it rained 2 inches at 5 o'clock. Wow. Yeah, we got inch and a half of thunder with it. We had a dry spring. We made a beautiful garden, and when things started getting ready to harvest, the rains moved in, which is normally the worst case scenario. But we've held up pretty good so far. But it's never good when you start getting a lot of rain at harvest time, because that causes your fruits to go bad. We've had to pick our tomatoes a little bit earlier than we would normally. But we've made an extremely good garden with our drip irrigation, and I do better gardening in a dry year than I do a wet year. So it was good up until the last 10 days, and it's kind of one little sour ones, but still a pretty decent garden. I don't guess you could ever have it perfect, but we always earn for a perfect year. But this has been good so far, so we're thankful for that. Beautiful flowers.
Echinacea, strawberry fields, daisies, rosemary. This is
Basil, right?
no.
No?
Trying to think. I think oregano or tarragon that's went to seed.
So we've been carrying our neighbors some flowers in the afternoon. We've been doing I've been part of the carrying part, not the picking part, but we've been sharing our flowers with the neighbors a little bit and some of our bounty from our garden. Yeah. So it's that beautiful time of the year for us, man.
This glass right here.
Uh-huh.
So this is my pawpaw's glass. He had a set of these. They ran a store in Meg's, and I don't know how it worked, but it's something with the bubble gum or some of the candy. When you sold so much, you would get a set of glasses or whatever. So this one here is like a gold leaf, but Papa always took his medicine in this glass, and we're having to go through their house and divvy up stuff.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, it's funny how those little things stick out to you. With my mother, it was a butcher knife. Yeah. It was a butcher knife that she used forever and ever and ever. And she'd wore it so thin that I have so many memories of it as that butcher knife. Whether it could be a pot or a pan or any kind of figurine on the wall, it's always those one or two little things that sticks with you.
So my niece sent a picture to all of us, and because Keneal had them up in the cabinet, and she said, does these mean anything to anybody? They're stuck up in the cabinet, so there have to be some significance. Nobody knew but me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You had to have them after that.
I did. It makes perfect vases.
So today I'm also going to redeem myself on the sweetie pie. Last week we cut a sweetie pie and it was not ripe. I felt horrible about it, but it's part of the first part of watermelon season. We have since then cut one or two that was not good, but we've cut more good ones than we have bad ones. Now this one today, I checked the tendril on it, it's dried completely up, but this one has such a pretty yellow belly on it. Look there.
You're going to be disappointed.
I'm going to be so disappointed. So I got to cut this one real quick before we get into the unusual gardening things to make sure. My knife isn't really big enough, but we're going to do biscuit. Oh, you hear that pop? That's it. Whoa! That's always a good sound. Did y'all hear that pop, pop? When it does that, you know you have cut into a good watermelon. This is going to be good. Oh, man, look at it.
Oh!
It ain't right. Not like I want it to be. Oh, my goodness. I get it's just so full of water and just pop. I know. But it's not right like I want. Look at it. It's not. But we've had a lot of rain last few days.
Do you think it's the rain?
I think it's the rain that's filled full of water.
They do look rather juicy.
Oh man, we won't eat it anyway, but I would prefer it to be a little redder.
It's still good.
Is it? I just knew that was it. If you ever hear that pop, man, you say, that's it.
Well, we'll have to cut another one next week.
Yeah. I got some seedless ones scattered in there, but the sweetie pie is one I really wanted to tap because it does so easy to grow for the home gardener.
It's good.
That's good.
Maybe it's just the rain makes it not.
I don't have that. I don't like that color in there like that. That's not normal. That's good though. Not the best one I've eaten, but a pretty dadgum good watermelon. All right, we got to set that to the side. Next week we have to try again. We're eventually going to get it right.
The third try is usually the charm.
The third try is the charm. I got watermelon juice up. Get it out of the way. All right, folks. So we're going to go over some unusual things that we grow today. But what we'd really love is for you to put in the comments and tell us about some unusual things that you grow that we may not mention, because it's all about learning, and people have experiences with things out there that we've never grown before. So if you got something that's unusual that you like to grow, maybe not every year, but every few years, let us know about it. Let us know how it grows and how you use it and what. Next thing you know, we may be growing some of it.
Let's go ahead and talk about the old goat so people can be looking for the
Yeah, so the old goat, he's in retirement, folks. He has been beat up there. He's missing the horn. He's had some injuries down below. Look at there. He's actually had some falls. And that happens with old age. You start falling some, and the old goat's been falling some. He's messed up his leg there, and he's
one horn.
He's one-horned. And he's going to have to go to a facility, maybe not come back out. We don't know. Anyway, the old goat is moving into
He's being retired.
He's moving into the next stage of life. But never to fail, there's always somebody to replace you. Have you ever noticed that? Mm-hmm. You got your phone back on today?
No.
Anyway, there is a new sheriff in town, and if you find him,
not the old goat.
Him on the set here somewhere. It's not the old goat.
He could be called an old goat.
Yeah.
Some people call you that.
Well, some do. Anyway, I got a bobblehead for my birthday, and we're using the bobblehead now, and we can continue to call him the old goat or the old Greg or whatever. And if you find him, put in the comments below, and he will be our new drawing for the following weeks after that. How about that?
So put the old goat down.
Put the old goat down.
I mean, underneath the table.
Put him down.
That didn't come out right.
No. All right.
Okay.
And we're doing 5 of these, correct? I'm going to do one honorable mention at the end there, but we're doing 5.
Maybe, yeah, because there's one I don't want to do, that one.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do, I got one honorable mention. All right, the first one is, and folks, if you follow us for very long, you know we love hibiscus. And we love Roselle Hibiscus. This right here is our new Sant Kitts variety. We've been working with this for a few years now, but we really love. Now we grow it every year, but now it's not something you got to grow every year. It's something you can grow over 2 or 3 years, whatever.
Yeah, I actually could probably get by without it this year, but I need that. I freeze dry it and it'll last 25 years, so I'm thinking if we have a bad year,
we don't run out.
well, I don't want to run out.
Now the leaves are edible, but we're not really big fans of the leaves. But what we love is that calyx around the seed pod. When this plant flowers, has this red calyx around the seed pod, and that's what we absolutely love. Now this plant goes by several different names: Jamaican sorrel, all kind of things. The actual proper name is Roselle Hibiscus.
Hibiscus I can't say that. Can you say that?
Nope. That's the Latin name. We're not going to get into that because it's not really important.
So it grows like okra. It loves the heat, so it's great for us down here in Zone 9B.
And what's better about this particular variety, this variety here matures out on days to maturity, where the one we had before this was a different variety that matured out on the amount of daylight in a day. And what happened was the other one we had, we would get a cold spell, and it would freeze them and kill them before we could harvest them. With this one, this variety here, you guys even way north from us can still grow these and get a good harvest off of them. And I believe the calyxes are a little bit bigger too.
Yeah, very low maintenance, loves the heat, 4 to 7 feet tall. You need a lot of room.
You know, actually, I think 4 foot spacing is about right on this. I plant it too thick every year. I've got some planted out there this year on 2 foot spacing, and that's not enough room for it.
Yeah, I think you need to pull some up.
Every 4 foot, once these plants get going, is enough. It takes that much room for them because they get huge.
Yeah, it takes a lot of room, and it's low maintenance, so you plant it and forget about it till it starts blooming.
I have never, ever sprayed it with insecticide or fungicide.
Or fertilized it, have you?
Yeah, no, I do
I
fertilize it.
hadn't fertilized mine. It's great for lowering blood pressure, improving digestion, antioxidant, high in vitamin C, and it's also good for blood sugar. when I faithfully take it every day, my blood sugar's a lot lower.
Really? It has kind of a sour taste to it. You old timers, are you ever eating goat weed? It's got a little bit of a flavor of that into it.
It's kind of a tart cranberry taste.
Yeah.
And what we do with it most of the time is make us a tea, which is use a cup of dried calyx, 4 cups of water, bring your water to a boil, and add the Roselle, simmer for 10 to 15 minutes, remove from heat, and let steep. Simple recipe. I can put that down in the description.
And you can make jelly out of it as well.
Jelly, and I've made wine. It's one of my favorites for making wine.
Now, I grow mine in my vegetable garden because I normally have a plot I can put there. This is one of those things, kind of like one we're going to talk about after this. If you got an old fence row or just an out-of-the-way area on your land there, this is something you can actually put in those out-of-the-way areas that's maybe going to get neglected a little bit. That will actually
But it does need sun.
It does need full sun, and it needs a little water to get established. But once it gets established, it's very drought resistant.
Yeah. Okay. Roselle.
Roselle. We love our Roselle. All right, the next one, folks, is Luffa. Luffa Gourd is this right here. Now, this is Carrie, our marketing director, grew Luffa Gourds this year and last year. And these are not the biggest ones out there. I've grown them bigger than this. Sorry, Carrie, but she just picked a couple of them, brought to us this morning. This is last year's and this is this year's right here. This one's still growing right here. And Luffa Gourds are fun. You know, I got to think about it. The first time we grew Luffa Gourd was probably over 25 years ago. Do you realize that?
On the back fence
On the back fence.
Raised bed garden.
So just like Roselle, if you got an area, a fence row that's abandoned and everything, Luffas love some type of structure to grow on. They are a vining type plant. They vine like crazy. If they like to grow on something like a fence or maybe a big, I don't know, like a privacy fence. Trellis, anything. Now they will grow on the ground, but they love to grow up and get onto something other. They make like crazy. They're blooming right now if you planted during the springtime.
Well, the one thing about them is it's a long growing season.
It is. And what happens?
You can use them at different stages in their maturity, but it's a long growing season. It takes 150 to 200 days to get to this point. They have this skin right here. Once they get fully developed, will turn brown, and then you can easily peel it off. It'll be full of seeds. You'll never have to buy seeds again. And then you can take this, and there's many uses for this.
But how do you get that white? Bleach. You have to use a bleach solution. You remember that? We used to bleach them a little bit. If you don't, they won't be quite this clean right here. But you can use I forgot what exactly the amount is, maybe a quart of bleach in the solution.
Yeah, it's very small. Yeah.
Which is what you use for a lot of gourds, to clean them up and get them nice and white like this right here.
Grow in a sunny spot, needs vertical support. Pollination is critical. So
it is a cucurbit, being in the gourd family, so it does take pollination.
It flowers in the morning, and bees are essential for the fruit set.
So you can see in there, these things have these little cavities in there, and that's where your seeds is going to be all out in there. And one loofah sponge, you're going to get a lot of seeds off of. But what we used to do, you remember we would cut these things up, and we made goat soap back in the day, and we would pour soap down in these things. You can do all sorts of crazy things with this loofah right here. They're very crafty type things here. You can make, oh man.
Well, you can make soap. This can just be a sponge to bathe with, wash dishes with, because it's kind of rough.
Kind of like a wire brush, wire Brillo pad, a natural wire Brillo pad.
Okay. Then if you harvest it early, you can cook it like zucchini. Cut this open.
Yeah, but you need to harvest it real early, and these things get out of hand quick.
Or stir fries and soups.
Yeah. So they actually they get full in the stage right here, and they're edible, no doubt about it. We actually sell another particular variety that's real similar to this that we sell as vine okra.
Yeah. Okay, so Luffas. And they have very little pest control issues or disease
Easy to grow.
issues?
This is what I say. If you know somebody that is new to gardening and wants to get started gardening, loofahs are the gateway to gardening. If you start growing loofahs, next thing you know, it's going to lead you into other things.
So like chickens are the gateway to homestead?
Yes. These things are easy to grow, and people's going to be successful. They're going to be happy. They're going to be so excited to grow these right here, and next thing they move into something else. And that's the main thing, is you can be successful growing. I've never known anybody to fail at growing loofah sponge if you plant them early enough.
Okay. Next is on the list is holy basil.
Basil is one of the most popular things for people to grow, but you'd be surprised that the home gardens does not grow basil.
Now, holy basil is a different type of basil. It's an herb. It has a lot of medicinal properties.
But it's a culinary herb also.
It's
correct?
also a culinary herb.
So you can eat it.
So here's some that I grew last year and freeze dried. I have a abundance.
Can I open it?
Uh-huh.
Now, basil is used a lot in a lot of Italian dishes. Am I correct there?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that's strong.
The leaves have a strong clove-like aroma.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
It's known for its adaptogenic properties to help with stress,
I feel less stressful
inflammation. The cold's going to get it. So you need to bring it in to overwinter it or just replant some
right now.
more.
And they bolt pretty bad.
They bolt pretty bad. I let mine go to seed and it reseeded itself. That's what I've been doing. I also got some, so I dry it to use in different dishes, and then I made a tincture out of it. Now, tincture is just the herb and some type of liquid. You can use alcohol, 80%, or you can use, I have to open that, glycerin.
What did you use? Alcohol?
I used alcohol. And you let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can buy these bottles on Amazon. And then you simply just strain it off into your bottle.
Now, what is this good for?
Stress relief.
Stress. You told me a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Anti-inflammatory, respiratory help. A lot of people use it as an immune system support.
Give me a hit at it.
Okay, let me pour some more. My hands are shaking.
So you just take it like this right here, pull you up a little bit like that.
A dropper full. Uh-huh.
Is that enough?
That's enough.
And then I just, whoa,
Can you taste the alcohol?
a little bit. Tastes like some old-timey cough medicine.
But it does have that clove.
It does have that
Woo!
clove. Oh, it's strong. Yeah, you don't want much of that. But I tell you what now, I feel less stressful.
You do? Less stress? Okay, so holy basil, that's a good one to add to your...
And if there's one reason to grow basil, and this is not only holy basil, but all of it, and I got some in the greenhouse right now. I was just out there looking at it a few minutes ago. The pollinators love basil. These things flower, to their detriment, they flower real easy and real quick. And that can be a little bit of a drawback of basil, so you have to keep some more coming along, or you have to keep it cut back. But when it does flower, it's beautiful. And
It's a pollinator magnet.
And you'd be surprised that your native pollinators and your regular European honeybees will just flock to it.
Even if you just have one plant, it's a hot spot
Yep.
for those pollinators.
Yep. So it's a dual or three-time purpose plant. And it does have some fragrance to it somewhat. I don't notice that as much as I do the pollinators, but the pollinators just everywhere.
I hadn't really noticed that clove taste. to
Yeah,
it.
I hadn't either, but it's there.
It's there.
This next one here is one of my favorite things to grow in the garden, because I love to have people come through the garden when we give them a little tour. We just walk through the garden, look at things. This is my prank plant.
Yeah.
My prank plant, yep.
It's also known as an electric daisy.
Yep. The Toothache Plant.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want a lot of this right here. A 4x8 raised bed is all you need to grow this right here. Some people call it the lemon drop plant. It's actually a medicinal herb.
So here I freeze-dried the leaves, which I'll give you that electric sensation too. And then these are the yellow flowers.
These things are beautiful when they load up with blooms right here. But when I carry people through the garden, I always pick a couple leaves and I say, we got to chew this up. And when you chew this leaf or this seed head up, it will make your mouth tingly and go numb to some extent. Now, as far as how delicious that is, that's not very delicious at all. Those are freeze-dried ones. But you will start getting that sensation of that tingling pretty quick.
Yeah, and it reseeds easily.
Yep.
It's heat loving, will grow all summer long, loves full sun, warm weather. It's compact, bushy plant, eye-catching.
Easy to grow.
Prefers rich, well-draining soil. You can harvest the leaves and the flowers. You can use them fresh or dry them for tinctures, teas, or salves. Harvesting encourages more blooms. So I took the lemon drop too and made a tincture. And it's really good for sore throats, mouth ulcers, fever blisters. A girl here at work had a little sore in her nose, and she said she put this on there one time and it was gone.
Wow.
So I want you to try that.
Okay. Now this plant doesn't get very big, so size-wise, you're not really an issue with this right here. So a raised bed is perfect for it, and it loves the heat. Now it will not tolerate cold weather, so when it starts getting cold, you either need to pull it up or do something with it. Now, you see that right there? Is that enough of that?
Yeah.
Let's see, try. And used, whoa, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Ought to cure anything, hasn't it?
Yes, it had.
That has the
That
alcohol
actually
base.
makes you think a little bit after you.
What do you mean?
I mean, my mind right now is in a bad place. I got to come back together here. Whew. I did it where it hit the back of my throat.
That don't taste bad.
It doesn't taste bad at all. It's different, but it doesn't taste
it
bad.
doesn't taste. But now, just that quick, under my tongue is numb as it can be.
I went to a little mini fog here for all of a sudden. I'm back now.
You back now? So lemon drop, it's one of our favorite unusual things to grow. And like you said, it's so much fun in the garden when you're taking people on tour and say,
If you got some kids out there, man, I love to let the kids chew
say,
it.
hey, try this lemon drop. And they think it's going to taste like lemon.
Yeah, now here's the thing. They will not eat it unless you eat it. So you have to participate with them on it to make them do it. But if you normally do it with them, they'll do it as well. So, yeah, it's fun.
Okay,
What
next.
about companion planting it?
It's very good. You can plant it with anything. Unless it's something really tall that's going to
Chamomile would be a good one to
Yeah. Chamomile, feverfew,
yeah.
even your basils.
Oh, yeah.
You still numb?
No, I'm coming back around.
Mine's still numb.
I'm still numb, but I'm coming back around. I don't have that fogginess I had there for a second.
Brain fog.
I didn't know where I was at there for a mere moment. All right.
Well, you did swallow some of it.
I hit the back of my throat with it and it just went down. All right,
okay.
folks, the next one here is a plant that I've got planted this year. Now, I don't grow this one every year, but about every 2 to 3 years, I'm going to grow me some Birdhouse Gourds. I love growing Birdhouse Gourds. I got the prettiest patch of Birdhouse Gourds now that I've ever had. They love the hot weather. They take it dry. They're very disease resistant, believe it or not. It is an old open pollinator plant that you can save the seeds from. But we love Birdhouse Gourds, and for several different reasons. I'm convinced that these natural gourds do a lot better job than the plastic ones for Martins. And plus, they're just so much more fun to deal with.
And natural.
And natural.
Yeah.
And now the little small ones that we do, and this is the reason I love that. You know, the big ones that you do, you want to cut those out and we clean them and all that, and you can save those for the ones that hang up. You could actually sell them if you wanted to. But I like to take the small ones that didn't do quite so well and give them to the grandkids. They love, I'll normally help cut the hole out, but they love painting them things.
Yeah, they love that. It needs 100 to 140 days to fully mature and dry.
If you live in the South, you could probably get by with still planting them now, but you need to plant them pretty quick.
Need a lot of space because I've noticed yours have taken over everything in that pot.
They love a fence just like your Luffa Gourds do.
They recommend keeping the fruits off of the ground to avoid rot damage.
Yep. No biggie if you don't, but I mean it's best if you do.
Well, and if you give them vertical support,
it don't take as much room.
Well, it helps them grow symmetrical and more straight.
Oh, that's good. I didn't realize that. So you don't have the crooked ones.
If grown on the ground, it says use straw or mulch to prevent them from rolling.
Yep. And these places on the internet that you can find out, I forgot the whole size. I actually bought me a whole saw for the exact size you're supposed to use to cut into those to make the Birdhouse Gourds, but you can find that online. And the same thing, use a bleach solution to kind of wash them and clean them up somewhat. So easy to grow, fun to grow. So if you got a late season plot that you need something to do with, hey, that's a good one right there. I'm gonna throw this one in real quick because this is not one of those, and this is not my honorable mention. This right here is one I grew last year. This is, we have a breeder up in Virginia that grows a lot of cucurbits, and he grows an African drum gourd. And I got some seeds from him, and the top's been cut out of it. But these
you was going to put a top on it and make a drum out
We did. Carrie in the back did do one like that. This one I didn't. I just cut this one out right here. But these things are fun. This would make good flower pots.
It would.
See how thick they are? Now this is over a year old, and it's still thick, and structure is very good there.
Well, for dry flowers.
Dry flowers.
I wouldn't put real flowers in.
Yeah, these are fun to grow. These things get huge. We don't sell the seed.
You have a gourd fetish.
Gourd fish. African drum gourd. Yep. I grew some weird ones a few years ago.
So to turn them into birdhouses, you let them fully dry. When you can hear the seeds rattle inside,
it's time to start cutting the hole out.
You want to clean them and sand them. Drill the hole for bluebirds or wrens. So you don't want the hole bigger than 1.5 inches.
Really? I didn't realize. Okay.
And hang drainage holes and a hanging wire, and it's ready for spring nesting.
Unless you want to paint them. And if you want to paint them, they make a really
I like to paint them and still have it be a birdhouse. I should have brought one up here I had painted. Okay. That's for fun. Then the last one on our list is tobacco. You want to talk about this?
You know, tobacco's got a long legacy, a lot of stories in our family. We can talk about tobacco because we grew a lot of tobacco in this part of the world down here. And Mama Hoss and I both worked in tobacco fields when we was teenagers coming up, when we was children actually coming up through teenage years.
Yeah,
all the way to we was.
I was 13 when I started.
Yeah, we was always, we was probably 18, 19. Till you got a real job, you always worked in tobacco.
And I started back when they strung it,
I did
before
too.
the tobacco barns.
I did too.
And I can still string that tobacco in my sleep.
So we had these wooden shaped tobacco barns that was made out of wood. And us young boys were to get the job of putting it up in the barn when it was on the stringer, the wood pole, tobacco sticks. And we would have to get up there and you would straddle the 2x and walk on them and you would hand them up. Well, the guy on bottom, the sand always come down and got on him. So the guy on bottom had the worst job because it all
fell down
on him. But the guy on top, he had to be pretty limber and he had to be very, had to have good balance or you would fall out of the tobacco barn.
Very agile.
Anyway, I've done a little of it all in my time.
So you say why tobacco plants? It has such a bad name.
It's got a pretty flower on it. I grew it in my garden 2 years ago, and it does flower and does a really good, pretty flower. It's an unusual plant, as we're talking about there, to grow in your garden.
Now you can dry it and ferment the leaves and make your own custom smoking tobacco for like a pipe.
If you are. Now, we're not smokers, but
No.
you could do that. If you're a smoker, you can grow your own tobacco. But this is one thing we learned years and years ago. It is ideal for insect bites.
Yeah. So,
You can dry it out. Would you use a tincture with that?
now last year, well, you could do a tincture with it, yeah. But last year, I just go down there and grab a leaf and squish it up and put it on
You need to get the juice out of it.
Yeah.
So the nicotine or something in there actually draws that
Well, the
portion out.
nicotine can be absorbed through the skin. So if you're handling it a lot and you're not needing it for medicinal purposes, you want to wear gloves.
Oh, blarkey. That never did bother us any.
No, it didn't. But since we've learned all the
I don't think you need to wear gloves with it.
well, all that nicotine can be a
It's
sword.
not going to hurt you.
It's not?
No, as much as we've handled in our time, no.
Oh, I know. Well, that might be what's wrong with us. All that tobacco we harvested.
But the juice in the tobacco leaf is actually what draws out. And you will be amazed if you get a bee sting or a wasp sting, if you put that on there immediately and hold it on there, it will pull that poison out of there so quick. It's just amazing.
Or even an ant bite.
Yeah.
It's one of the oldest cultivated crops in America.
Really? Mm-hmm. Now, it is a little tricky to grow. Most people grow tobacco from plants, and I don't know that you'd have time this year, but maybe we'll put it on your radar for next year. You have to kind of push it into the top of the soil. You can't really cover the seeds up. You have to keep it really wet to get it to come up. So it is a little bit tricky there. You normally want to germinate at about 85 degrees there, but if you cover it up, it will not germinate. It's one of those weird ones that you have to just press into the top and keep wet. And it takes a little time for it to germinate.
And you know, those down at the house that I've got out in a isolated area, they have reseeded every year and came back. One of the things it says, I found this interesting, is it's great for a natural pest control. You can make a tobacco tea.
I didn't realize that. Now, I don't think I want to drink no tobacco tea.
No. It's for to put on your vegetables. A natural pesticide against aphids, mites, and other soft-bodied insects.
You know, that makes plenty of sense because some of the old-timey pesticides had nicotine in them. That makes plenty of sense. I've never thought about that.
And then we plant it just for the nostalgia, and it is just a pretty, like a tropical plant, I think.
Yep. It's a good conversation piece to grow in the garden.
Yeah. Stick it somewhere out in an area that's not around. Oh, and you don't plant, you keep it away from tomatoes and peppers. Do you know why?
Yep. No. Oh, because of viruses.
The tobacco mosaic virus.
It's not as imported as it used to be back in the day, but used to in the day, if you was a user of tobacco, they wouldn't let you in the greenhouse because you might be a carrier of that.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's not quite as strict as it used to be.
You mean just somebody smoking?
Somebody smoking could actually, they thought at one point could transmit that virus into another plant there.
Okay.
I remember back in high school, our horticulture teacher, he would tell the students, if y'all smoke, you got to wash it real good before you go in the greenhouse.
All right, so let's just recap our five. We've got tobacco, and we have 3 different types. Birdhouse Gourd, Toothache Plant, Holy Basil, Luffa Gourd, and Roselle.
Got one honorable mention.
Okay.
Ginger.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I grew ginger a year or two ago. It's not something I grew every year, but I grew a decent crop of it a couple of years ago. You got a little bit you're going to plant in a container this year. Carry.
I've got some that's come back, too.
Yeah. So ginger's fun to grow. It grows a lot to me like turmeric does.
Yeah,
It needs a
very
little
similar
bit
to
of shade. You just have to plant it, forget about it till frost, and go out there and harvest it. I'm not a big consumer of ginger. A lot of people love
I
ginger.
love the taste of ginger.
So if you like to grow your own ginger, ginger's easy to grow. It will not take the cold weather, so you have to harvest it, or if you got it in a container, you can move it inside there. But come time for frost, you need to get it out of the ground.
You know, last year, okay, so 2 years ago, I planted it in a raised bed, and I thought I harvested it all. But then the next year, I must have left a few little tubers. Is that what you call them?
Yep.
So they came back this year.
Yep.
So
Ginger's fun to grow. All right, so let's move it on. We have got garden spotlight of the week, which is Miss Kim. You want to talk about Miss Kim?
it's Kim
I'll get my glasses on.
Rugby, Zone 6, Lexington, Kentucky, and she is a microgreen grower.
Yeah, we ain't talked about microgreens in a while, but Kim's got it going on there. What a beautiful, looks like a professional picture there, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So she's got it going on, and the name of her farm or gardens is Everae. Everae, is that what you say?
Everae.
Microgreens, cool. Thank you, Kim, for sending that in. All right, so we told you that old goats retired, but the old goat siding from last week will be drawn today, and moving forward from today on, it's going to be the old goat Greg. So the winner from last week is Backyard Gardens with Beth. Beth, send us your email or your shipping address to what email?
support@growhouse.com.
And Beth, you will be the proud recipient of Yes, Get Dirty Socks. Look at there. Thank you, Beth. All right. We are moving into the summertime where we're here in the deep south, folks. We're harvesting sweet corn, going to be ready toward the end of the week. So we're in the middle of moving into harvest time. We will be flipping our beds come pretty soon.
I've got some I'm going to flip today.
Do you?
The dwarf sunflowers.
Yeah, we're moving. I got a lot of flowers growing in the greenhouse right now. So we're moving into our summertime flower cover crops. I got a field in the back that's eaten with nutgrass, and I'm going to plant cover crops on to help with that.
Was that the one you was plowing yesterday?
Yep. So it's moving in for us. We're moving in to cover crops, flowers, and some of these summertime crops that love to grow like sweet potatoes. So there's still a lot going on out there. It's just a different season for us right now. It's harvest season is on the horizon.
It's harvest season, but it's also time to start planning for fall.
Oh man, can it seem like it's fall, right? Planning for fall now, before we know what it's going to be here. Had a good friend of mine call me the other day wanting to plant some fall tomatoes. He wanted to know which ones to plant. So he's already getting geared up for that. It seems like it's not right, but it is. It's time to be thinking ahead a little bit.
You would need to plant your seeds in June for fall plants?
1st of July for tomatoes.
1st of July?
1st of July for us, anyway, because we can grow a fall crop of those. Time to get them in the ground. So next thing you know, we're starting over again.
Yeah, and we're in Zone 9,
Yep.
South Georgia.
It's a little different from us as most folks, but that's just the way we roll. Thank y'all for joining us. Maybe next week we'll have a nice pretty watermelon. Now it's time for you to get outside and get those hands dirty.